This is page 209. Lesson 8.2, percents, fractions, and decimals. Essential question, how can you write equivalent percents, fractions, and decimals? Writing percents as decimals. You can write a percent as an equivalent fraction or as an equivalent decimal. Equivalent percents, decimals, and fractions all represent equal parts of the same whole. Example 1. Lorenzo spends 35% of his budget on rent for his apartment. Write this percent as a fraction and as a decimal. Step 1, write the percent as a fraction. 35% means 35 out of 100. I want you to notice something right here. These symbols, this is good to remember. These symbols right here actually can be rewritten as 100. Those two little things on the percent sign look like zeros, and that right diagonal there could be a 1. That's 100. So percent, when you see that sign, percent means every time out of 100. So 35% means 35 out of 100. Then we write the fraction in simplest form. 35 and 100 share factors of 5, so we divide by 5 and we get 7/20. And then writing as a decimal is easy. 35 100ths right here would be the same thing as 35 in the hundredths place, which is the second digit to the right. So these are really pretty simple. Percents can be rewritten as fractions in simplest form, and they can be rewritten as decimals. Let's try, there's a your turn at the bottom of the page with 3 problems. If you're ready to try this on your own, go ahead and hit pause on the video, try these 6 problems, and then hit play to check your answers. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. The directions say write each percent as a fraction and as a decimal. It doesn't say that it has to be in simplest form. I'm going to do the fraction that you should do, and I'm going to do simplest form. That's the way I'm going to do this. Now you don't need to worry about if yours is right or wrong. If you don't simplify yours, and if you want to argue with me, well, it doesn't say you have to simplify. I'm not following the directions in writing simplest form. I'm just writing simplest form because that's the right habit to be in. So I'm going to write the fraction over 100, then I'm going to simplify it, then I'm going to write it as a decimal. Okay? All right, so number 1, 15% means 15 hundredths. And 15 hundredths simplifies by 5 to 3/20. Now there's one more answer I need. I'm supposed to write it as a decimal. Well, 15 hundredths right here as a decimal would be a 15 in the hundredths place. So I'm going to write 0.15. Really simple, the decimal especially. Number 2, 48% means 48 out of 100. 48 and 100 share a factor of 4, so I'm going to divide those by 4. And I'm going to get 12/25. I'm going to put a semicolon, and I'm going to do another answer here because I have 2 questions. If you're wondering why I'm doing 2 things, it's because we have to write it as a fraction and as a decimal. I'm going to go back to my my fraction here. 48 out of 100 would be the same thing as 48 in the hundredths place as a decimal, so 0.48. Number 3, 80%. You might have this one memorized. Do you remember memorizing from lesson 8-1? We memorized this. 80 100ths share a factor of 20. 80 divided by 20 is 4, and 100 divided by 20 is 5, so it's 4/5. We memorized that one. And on as a decimal, this is going to look a little different than you think. I'm not going to write 0.80, I'm going to write 0.8. And I want you to notice that you can take the 0 off. It's unnecessary to have zeros. You don't just take any digit off, but you can take zeros off the end. So what I'm saying is 0.80 is the same as 0.8. And in algebra, we don't write things that we don't need to, so we take that 0 off. Do you have this one memorized? 75%? 75% is 75 hundredths. 75 and 100 share a factor of 25. 75 divided by 25 is 3, and 100 divided by 25 is 4. And 75% as a decimal is going to be 0.75. 36% is 36 100ths. 36 is divisible by 4, as is 100. 36 divided by 4 is 9. 100 divided by 4 is 25. And 36% is going to be 0.36. And the last one, 40%. Do you have this one memorized yet? It's 2/5. starts as 40 100ths, but 40 and 100 share a factor of 20. 40 divided by 20 is 2, and 100 divided by 20 is 5. It's 2/5, and 0.40 is the same as 0.4. Now, if you put a 0 here, I'm going to go ahead and put a 0 here just for a minute. If you put a 0 there, it's not wrong. It's not more right. Probably the more right version is to not have that 0, because we don't put zeros at the end of our decimals if we don't need them. All right, good job. You're done with page 209.